Well, this is the latest episode. Fat chicks. Over the weekend, I have a friend on Facebook. Maybe won't be a friend much longer. And she was celebrating her 50th birthday. And she took a picture with two NYPD firemen or fire people or something. And she just looked like she had gotten fat. That's what she looked like to me. She looked like a fat chick to me. And when I remember, she was just hot. She was hot. That's what I remembered. I remembered growing up in high school, there was all these chicks that I wasn't really able to do much with, and they were hot. You know, these chicks, when you're in high school, that you like bump up to them and their arm feels really sexy. You know, their arm feels really good to you. You feel like you're gonna, bust a nut just touching their arms, And I remember once that I was in high school and some girl in the church I was at, it was right after I'd finished high school, we were doing something and she sat down in my lap for some reason. I don't remember. And it was just softness everywhere. It was just incredible. And I don't remember putting my hands up on her, but it was just something else. So that was 30 years ago, 25 years ago when I finished high school, 78. So so that was 26 years ago. Is that right? 26? 36, isn't it? Yeah, 36 years ago. Jeez. I don't even know why you haven't changed this because, I'm nuts. So anyway, what's happened to these people? What's happened to me is I got an older face. I got a little bit of stuff down here. And I stress on this down here. This stresses me out. I weighed yesterday. I weighed 200 pounds. I weighed pretty much what I did when I was 20 years old. Something like that. In my early 20s. I weighed the same thing I did in my early 20s. I got up to 260. And I lost it all. On a low-carb diet. I lost my weight. So I'm a big fan of that. Now, I know it's difficult to lose weight and so forth, but I did it, and I'm like a Jehovah's Witness in the low-carb diet. And I don't mean to besmirch the Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't know much about them. I know that I had a grandmother that was a Jehovah's Witness and an aunt that was a Jehovah's Witnesses, and they drove us all crazy about becoming a Jehovah's Witness, and they never stopped. Everybody else in the family that was in any other religion, they would say a couple of times, well, you want to go to church with us? And we'd go, no, I don't want to go. And that was kind of like the end of it. It was like once or twice. They'd just keep beating it up and beating it up and beating it up and beating it up. So that's what I'm saying. Because when it comes to this whole low-carb diet thing, I'm not going to give in. And it caused my second marriage to be destroyed was this, because my second wife really didn't want to go on a low-carb diet, didn't want to change herself, and I felt like that she had promised me she would, and nobody else, none of my other friends would give me any cover. They said, well, you married her like that. So now we're divorced. I don't even talk to her anymore. Fuck you, by the way. That's the way I feel about her. Because I pretty much think if you don't eat carbs, you're going to lose weight. Period. I pretty much believe that. I know all kinds of people like that. I know one fella who's still fat, and he claims to be on a low-carb diet. And he says it's because he doesn't exercise. So I don't know. I got one case. All I know is it worked for me. Maybe I'm just an extraordinary person, very active, so forth, so on. But in the very least, I know that you should be able to go back to your high school weight or your 20-year-old weight. All right? And you can do something about it. Right? And it's a pity to see all these women out there just become big old fat slobs, and then they turn it into their big, beautiful women. And it's a social thing. It's a big problem, and I know they all like to have sex all the time, and that's good. But they don't have to be fat. That's my point. You don't have to be fat. Because being fat comes from two things. You're either eating too many carbs, you haven't controlled your leptin and your insulin, or you have inflammation problems. You have inflammation issues. That's probably why my buddy won't get steep getting fat, because he has some kind of inflammation issues. Or he's just hereditarily fat. You know, you can't put certain species of animals on a diet. Some animals, some things you feed them, if you fed them 1,200 calories a day, they'd get fat. That's been documented in why we get fat. So I understand that there's people that are genetically predisposed to that, but I don't think that's the preponderance of people are like that, because people have gotten a lot fatter in the last 30 years. And you'll ask people and they'll go, well, because they don't exercise. Well, we do. We've had the rise of the gym, and we've had the rise of the carbohydrate at the same time, and people got fat. So it's not that we aren't exercising. It's not that we're lazy. It's because we're not addressing these issues in our diets. That's the problem. And that's why these people are fat. Now, I guess I just reached out to this lady, and she got mad. She said it wasn't very nice on her 50th birthday, and I said, I agree. And then I said, if you don't like it, unfriend me and I'll understand and have a nice life. That's what I told her. I did not apologize, and I'm not going to apologize for it. You let yourself go. You let yourself go, and somebody older than you told you that you let yourself go, and you don't need to do that. You don't be running around with all your money, celebrating all over the country, being fat. I don't believe in that. All right, so you do what you want. That's your thing. You know, and if that offends you, that offended my son. My youngest son, I sold the same thing to him. I almost, he got really upset, and it hurt his feelings. Well, he's on a diet now. He's losing weight. He's watching himself. He heard the call. This is important. How you look is important. It's very important. All right, so what am I saying here? Number one, I'm saying you don't have to be fat. You can do something about it. There is issues behind it. You need to research the issues. You don't have to be the way you are. Whatever you are, we got a solution for it. If you're crazy, they got a pill for it. If you're too fat, there's a way to solve it. We can solve our problems now. Solve your problems. Figure out what your problem is and fix it. Okay? Be well.